Welcome back to ProSex Studios. I'm Brian Downs, and in this channel we look at popular film, popular television shows, and examine the sexual subtext and the sexual message of these projects. Is it positive or negative? And if you've been watching this channel, you know it's usually negative. Hollywood and popular media bombard us with sex negativity, messages designed to make you feel anxious and dysfunctional about sexuality, and we as a culture eat it up. Why is this? Today I'm looking at the 1990s classic, The Crow. Before we get any further into this, I would appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, do all the things. It helps the channel. The film opens with a slow glide across a scale model of an early 90s gothscape, the sodden shingles aglow with the light of many arson fires. The camera finds one shattered window. Inside is Officer Albert, weary cop, surveying the horrific aftermath of a gang rape. The victim groans in pain as the paramedics do their best. There's nothing they can do for her fiancé. He's on the pavement, 5 stories down. So the question I'm handling today is, what is the sexual subtext of this immortal goth fable? Positive or negative? How's it looking so far? Ernie Hudson plays Albrecht. The cop's first line of dialogue is, "Yeah, Shelley Webster and Eric Draven. Wedding was tomorrow night." Another cop remarks, "Who the fuck gets married on Halloween anyhow?" Albrecht looks at Shelley on the stretcher. Nobody. So Shelley, played by Sophia Shinas, and Eric, played by Brandon Lee in the role that killed him, were lovers, roommates, and engaged to be wed the following day. They had a sexual relationship and they wanted to make it official in front of a judge and a god. Instead, they got terrorized, brutalized, and murdered. Shelley dies of her injuries. And if that wasn't enough, Sarah, a neighborhood girl of about 12 whose junkie mother provides her no comfort, is now bereft of their friendship. This is negative meme number 1. The wanting disaster. I've discovered 12 negative memes about sexuality that are recycled endlessly in popular culture, and this is the most common one. The wanting disaster. Having sex, wanting sex, pursuing sex leads to a disaster. Why was Eric in that apartment? Why was Shelley in that apartment? Because they were lovers. They were engaged to be married. They had a sexual relationship, and their catastrophe follows soon after that. Flash forward 1 year. Sarah is now friends with the dutiful Officer Albrecht, whom she first met at the scene of the attack last Halloween, and we get to meet T-Bird and his little helpers. Tintin, the knife man, Fun Boy, the junkie, and Skank, the meth head. This little pack of monsters are responsible for disrupting Eric and Shelley's wedding plans. And we get to see Eric clamber out of his October grave, return to his empty apartment, and suffer a nightmare flashback of the attack. He discovers that he has Wolverine-like regeneration now. Then he has a second flashback, this one of his idyllic days with the departed Shelley. It includes a few seconds of his memory of embracing his nude lover in their bed, all shot in a very PG-13 sort of way, although the movie is not PG-13. Then he punches a mirror, paints his face as a black and white harlequin, and sets out to kill quite a lot of people. Are you tracking this? The final trigger for his roaring rampage of supernatural revenge is a flashback of making love with his fiancée. The attack itself is not the final trigger, although it is, of course, a major factor. The final trigger is his memory of sexual pleasure. He is tortured by his memory of his long-gone sex life, as well he should be. He and Shelley were treated with an extreme of brutality. But this is the story the movie chooses to tell. His sex life with Shelley was ended by a sex crime sandwiched in murder, and so his revenant, accompanied by a supernatural crow, is going to start stacking bodies. This flashback of their lovemaking lasts only a few seconds of screen time. That's all the sex positivity we are going to get. Eric quickly locates Tintin, subdues him, and demands that he confess. Tintin then provokes Eric by asserting that Shelley enjoyed being his victim. This distracts Eric long enough for Tintin to gain the upper hand in their struggle, but Tintin underestimates this supernatural revenger, and Eric sticks the knife man's blades in all of his major organs in alphabetical order. It's villains who sex. Danger is sex. These are another two negative memes. It's villains who sex says that it's villains who have sex lives, who pursue sex, who assert their sexuality. Here, Tintin speaks to Eric quite bluntly about some sex he once had when he was committing a rape. How do we know who a villain is? It's the person who had sex. Tintin is villainous. Why? Because of his sexuality and the criminal way in which he imposes it on people. It's villains who sex. Also, danger is sex. Sex as presented as dangerous, as repugnant. Tintin uses this ploy to try to gain the upper hand on Eric and kill him, not realizing that Eric can't be killed by conventional means. Sex is presented as dangerous, as repulsive. Then we are introduced to Top Dollar, played by Michael Wincott in one of his most memorable roles, the ruthless lord of Goth Detroit. T-Bird and his little helpers act on Dollar's orders. Dollar's half-sister, Micah, is also his house witch, advisor, and girlfriend. Our first view of Micah is nude from the rear as she showers post-threesome. A few moments later, she's cutting the eyes out of the beautiful, naked, nameless dead girl who is lying in their bed. "I think we broke her," Dollar remarks. This again it's villains who sex. Who's having sex? Top Dollar. And Micah, where do we first meet these characters? Right after they've had sex. Who's pursuing sex? Who's unashamed of their sex life? The bad people. Micah is constantly presented in sexy outfits, tight clothes, lounging on a table, drinking a glass of wine. She's a very sexy, sensual person. That's how you know she's a villain. It goes hand in hand with her psychopathy. Dollar and his spooky half-sister are shamelessly enjoying sexing it up together, especially when it gets incestuous, and most especially when it gets manslaughtery. Is anyone else in this film having a sex life? Any protagonist? Well, sort of, because Darla is. Remember Sarah, the 12-year-old street urchin left friendless by Eric and Shelley's murders? Darla is her mother. And Darla is dating Funboy, who insisted on going first on Shelley. They share an interest in alternative 90s music and heroin. It's unclear how much Darla knows about Funboy's criminal career, but she can't not see that he looks like the rat that shit itself out. Darla and Funboy are shooting up and making out in Funboy's rat hole apartment when Eric climbs in through the fire escape. Eric sails Funboy into the afterlife on a river of smack wide enough to drown a dolphin and gives Darla a little pep talk about being a better mother. This scene is a multi-layered tapestry of negative memes. First, danger is sex. The scene is a sinister one, full of foreboding. We don't want Darla to be in this relationship with Funboy. Second, it's villains who sex. Funboy is a villain, and here he is, having sex again. Third, the wanting disaster. The scene starts with Funboy embracing Darla and ends with his corpse arranged as a calling card for his accomplices. Fourth, your problem is sex. Your problem is sex is a meme wherein any protagonist who is interested in sex, who pursues sex, who has sex, is presented as being flawed because of that. Protagonists who have sex lives need to stop that stuff. Cut that out. Your problem is sex. Darla was in a sexual relationship with Funboy, which Eric terminates when he terminates Funboy. In Darla's next scene, which is also her last scene, she is trying to fulfill her neglected maternal responsibility for Sarah. When does Darla start to improve herself to become a better person? When she becomes celibate. Because, fifth negative meme, serious people don't sex. People with responsibilities, people who have others who depend on them, especially good parents, don't have sex lives. Eric soon visits Officer Albrecht, who will join his crusade against the criminal underbelly of the rotting metropolis. We learn that Albrecht is getting a divorce. We see his wife only in a photograph. Apparently, Albrecht is celibate too. That's how you know he's one of the good ones. Now let's talk about Sarah, the street urchin. Eric is dead when the film begins. His fiancée Shelley is dead shortly thereafter. We see only a few seconds of them making love in a flashback that is extremely painful to Eric. That's all we get of joy, pleasure, or connection in their sex life. And that motivates Eric to start cranking up his kill count. But in doing that, he makes an enemy out of Top Dollar who, with his half-sister's help, deduces that the crow is Eric's link between the land of the living and the realm of the dead. Kill the crow, then destroy the man. But how do you find Eric, especially after his revenge against T-Bird is complete? The solution is simple. Kidnap Sarah. This turns Sarah into a princess MacGuffin. Our hero is fighting to save the girl. Commonly, the girl is the hero's lover, wife, or betrothed, but not in The Crow. Oh no, the hero's betrothed was murdered and raped in the backstory, so she's offstage. Here, the Princess MacGuffin is an adopted child, a surrogate daughter. Eric even gives her Shelley's engagement ring as a keepsake, transforming that ring from a symbol of a sexual relationship and a marriage into a symbol of paternal affection. Sarah is the picture of innocence. But why? She's savvy, independent, and has certainly seen some shit on the streets of Goth Detroit. She's innocent because she has no sex life. Let's look at the list of the dead. Tintin, Funboy, T-Bird, Skank, Top Dollar, Micah, all had atrocity-laden sex lives, but sex lives nonetheless. Eric and Shelley, they had blameless sex lives, but sex lives all the same, so they're dead too. Officer Albrecht has recently ended his sexual relationship with his wife, so he gets to the end of the film with just one bullet wound. But it's Sarah who makes it through with some hope for the future. It's the virgin who survives unscathed. So, in the end, this nihilistic fable turns out to be extremely anti-sex. Everyone who has sex dies, including the good people. It's the virgin who lives. And most of the sexuality you see is criminal, atrocious, and psychotic. The Crow is anti-sex. Thanks for watching. I'm Brian Downs. Come back every week for more examinations in this vein of popular film and television shows so that we can see what is going on in our culture about sexuality. Thank you for your time.